You know, like, before I even start this review, let's, hello there, motherfuckers. All right. Whatever you want to hear here, you're probably not going to hear. And I know what you're going to say. Brad, you went into this with a bad attitude. You went into this with a negative mindset. You went in expecting this WrestleMania to be bad. And can you blame me? I mean, honestly, can you blame me? Can you really blame me for not liking this WrestleMania? Can you really debate me on the fact that this is indeed, without hyperbole, without exaggeration, without, going out on too much of a limb, to say that this was the worst WrestleMania of all time? Now notice, the past few WrestleManias, even last year, I didn't say it was the worst WrestleMania of all time. Didn't say that once. It's on video. Those videos are still up for all to see. I never once said that WrestleMania 34, 33, 32, 31, 30 was the worst WrestleMania ever. Many people did, but I stayed away from hyperbole because, it's like it loses its luster after a while. If you say that something is the worst ever, and I talked about this in my Raw review, when people said that it was one of the worst Raws of all time, remember that like a few months ago? And I says, if you think that that's one of the worst Raws ever, you haven't been watching lately. But I looked at the WrestleManias, and at least in the previous years, there were things to like on those WrestleManias. There were things that you could even take away from those WrestleManias and remember about them or enjoy. Now, I think back to what was on WrestleMania 34, and I really can't even remember all that much. I just remember Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar in the main event, and that Roman Reigns didn't win. They kind of swerved the fans there. But whatever, I thought it was a pretty decent main event. I said that at the time. I thought that, it was a good effort. I thought that it was a good way to sign off on the show, and whatever. It wasn't anything amazing, WrestleMania 34, but there were some moments on the show that were at least good, decent, serviceable. WrestleMania 35 has got to be one of the absolute worst excuses that I have ever fucking seen for a WrestleMania. This show, what you want to say, like, jump the shark? This fucking show, like, this was a shark jumping a shark. This was a shark jumping another fucking shark over that shark. An abysmal fucking show on every single level. There was pretty much no entertainment. I normally don't give a shit about the crowd, but like, it's whatever the crowd's reaction is different to what I believe. So it's usually like my opinion. If it's a good match, it's a good match. If it's a bad match, it's a bad match. The crowd does not affect my enjoyment of the show when it comes to how I view it. Now, does it greatly deteriorate from the experience? Yes. But not so much if they're cheering or whatever that is. But when they start heckling, yeah, that starts to affect my enjoyment. But I don't give a shit what these moronic fans say. And I've talked about that in my John Oliver video. So go watch that video if you want my most recent thoughts on how I feel about the current crop of WWE fans. And how I thought that John Oliver was downright moronic for putting so much stock in it. Of course, some people took away from that video. Brad doesn't want wrestlers to have health insurance. Like, I don't know how you can make a 20-something minute video or whatever it was. No, actually, I think it was like 17 minutes. However long it was, I don't know how you could watch a video like that and just like your mind goes to like one fucking thing and you ignore everything else I said in the video. I don't know. I guess people wanted me to rally behind John Oliver, but, you know, I'm sorry. I'm not going to insult my own intelligence by believing that, you know, like, I'm sorry, but I've lived on this planet a little bit too long to be swindled into different things, you know, by just people, like, hawking ideas and shit. So I'm not going to fall into that. So, whatever the case may be, you know, the fans were silent tonight. This crowd was dead. It was a dead crowd. You couldn't even say it was a smart crowd because they didn't do the wave. They didn't do any chants that were at least audible to me. And that's pretty bad because, you know, you heard like "you suck" chants, and we're going to get to that. So anyway, guys, there's the little introduction there. And let's get into this show. Let's talk about this show. Let's get down to the show. And before I start, yes, this is going to be quite the negative review. I did not enjoy this show. I thought it was a really bad show to start off with. But walking back through this show, let's see if there was anything positive in there. And you guys know, if I honestly believe that there's anything worth mentioning in this video about this show that was positive, good, decent, that something where they gave at least a little bit of effort, I will be sure to note it here in this video. It's also very interesting to note that this was the first WrestleMania, I believe. I haven't seen this statistic posted anywhere, but I was thinking in my mind. This was the first WrestleMania since WrestleMania 2000 that The Undertaker was not on the card. Not even appearing. You guys realize that, like, Undertaker wasn't at WrestleMania 2000 back in the year 2000 because Undertaker was getting hip surgery. Understandable. The man was injured. He couldn't compete. But do you realize that he had wrestled every single WrestleMania up until this point? He had a match. And he wasn't booked on it. Now, I guess the rumors are true. Now, he was shown in New York. I saw the post that he was there. He was in New York. He was in the New York, New Jersey area. And he just didn't appear on the show. And I'm just like, right away, you knew from the offset, after the show was over, that Undertaker not being on WrestleMania, like, this is not WrestleMania. This is a different type of show. So, you know, I'm like, I already knew kind of going into this that the Undertaker wasn't going to be there. I had a feeling. I just couldn't see any way that they would factor him into the show based on their current plans that they had. Like, you look at the card and really, like, could you even think of a way of putting the Undertaker into this? Now, of course, you could think outside the box, but knowing them, like the way how they do things, like from a predictable standpoint, you know, like there's no way that they would be able to factor him into it. So, like, it was amazing that this was the first time in almost 2 decades that the Undertaker had not appeared at WrestleMania. Almost, like, it's been like 19 years. That's scary. I mean, I was like, wow, that is something else that he's not on this card. And, well, guys, you know, it's just, you know, that tells you something right there, doesn't it? So, I didn't watch the pre-show, but at least I'm happy that they had Hawkins and Ryder win the tag belts. Good for them. You know, they went through so much shit, but I mean, it's like on the pre-show, so basically no one saw it and no one cares, so they beat the Revival for the tag belts. A match that was made on the internet, of all places. There was no build on TV for it. That's pretty sad. But, you know, whatever. They had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I'm not even aware if they had the women's one. I think that they did. I don't even know who fucking won it. I did not watch it. But Braun Strowman, as predicted, won right there. The Hardy Boys were in there at the last minute. The guys from SNL were hiding underneath the ring. They come out at the last minute. They tried to eliminate Braun Strowman, but Braun Strowman pushed the Hardys out, and then he got rid of both of the SNL members, and that was about it. So, you know, all that week of build, you know, all those weeks of build up to this match, and there you go. It's just a pre-show match. Forgettable. You know, it's like they get these guys from Saturday Night Live. You know, hey guys, how would you like to work the show? The pre-show. Like, what? Like, they go through the trouble of getting some celebrities, and they're not even on the main show. Well, they would be involved in like a backstage segment, but like that's like what their spot on the show. And the Hardy Boys, like, I'm looking at the Hardy Boys in this, and it's like they're gonna have a tag match on the main card, but they can't even be bothered to put them in it. They're just wasting away in a battle royal. Whatever. So anyway, guys, let's get to the main card. So, we started off with Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss looked really good. She was wearing a low-cut dress. She was looking phenomenal. Hulk Hogan comes out. And I was pretty excited about this. I was like, yes, they got Hogan on the show. He does a little brief thing, you know. He makes a joke about, you know, the Silver Dome from back with WrestleMania 30. That's a very like played out joke. I thought they could have used Hogan a lot better here, because before we know it, Paul Heyman is coming out right past them, marches into the ring, you know, acting like a fucking cartoon character. He says that Brock Lesnar is not happy that he's not going on last. And, you know, the fact that Heyman, and that they, you know, it's not Heyman's fault, but they have to even say this, that the fact that the Universal Champion, which is supposed to be the most important belt, because I'm sorry, the WWE Championship is not equivalent. It's pretty obvious that the Universal belt is the one held in the highest regard. And this, you know, like the fact that they even have to say that it's not going on last is just abysmal. It's like, you know, like the women's championship is going on last. Can you like imagine this? Like, think back to like WrestleMania 15 if they told you that Sable and Tori was going on last. Or just, you know, or WrestleMania what did we WrestleMania 22. Imagine if they told you that Trish Stratus and Mickie James is going on last. So why is it more acceptable for this to go on last? Like, I don't get it. Just because there's a, you know, a women's movement, a revolution going on. Oh, excuse me. There's a revolution going on. So I guess this deserves... I am sorry, but I am not going to stand around like a bunch of, you know, goofballs, and, you know, like, just be like, oh, you know, here, you know, oh, it's wonderful, oh, the women, oh, I love them, I gotta be popular here on YouTube, guys, so I gotta talk about how great the women are, oh, it's amazing, it's everything I ever wanted in life. Women in the main event of WrestleMania, I could die a happy man. I mean, you know, like, that's pretty much what we're getting here. And, you know, I already said at the start of the video, if that's what you're looking for, you're not going to find it here in this video. I'm sorry, I'm not going to kick the ass of fucking WWE. I'm not gonna be like one of these guys here on YouTube that like they're looking to get laid. Oh baby, if I say positive things about women, you know, women will like me better. Like, you know, I don't really see how that's a like relevant here on YouTube. But that's what like people like to do on here. That's what people like JD and a host of others like to do here on YouTube, as I've noticed. And I don't like to attack people, but I've got to say what I've got to say on here. You know, I have to speak my honest opinion. But a lot of people are going to be like, oh, this is wonderful. You know, and like, because they don't want people to come on their videos and post all positive comments. Oh, you know, like with JD or something like that. You're a great man because you said positive things about the women. You're not sexist because only a sexist would say that the women don't deserve to be in the main event. You know, and I know that that's what a lot of people think. You know, they're hoping that they'll have like the rare female viewer on their video that's going to be like, oh, I'm so taken by this gentleman. Let me slide into his DMs. I mean, like, it's just, it's sick, it's demented, and it's just wrestling. I'm sorry, you're not going to win a Nobel Peace Prize for supporting women in the main event of WrestleMania. I'm sorry. That's why I'm going to bash this shit to hell, because it's not good. I'm sorry. I come from a time where my main events were Stone Cold versus The Rock or Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. You know, I don't come from a time when the women's, which was just some like, you know, not even like mid-card match. It was just something there. Oh, look, you know, just like a little extra thing there. Look, the women are pretty decent, too. They have a belt. Let them have a match, you know. They're beautiful and everything like that. Let's put them on the card. There was never, like a motive behind it, but now there is. So, Paul Heyman says, let's get out there. So, Seth, you know, it's time for the Brock Lesnar-Seth Rollins match. We kick this thing off. Brock starts beating Seth Rollins up before the bell on the outside. Then the bell officially rings. Seth Rollins, they do like a little like scrap in there. Then he fucking low blows him. Which, you know, is just, that's just great. You know, like, he's supposed to be the baby face. He's the Beast Slayer. But, you know, like, okay, at least you'd say, okay, Brad, well, he low blowed him. So, you know, he had to like cheat to win. So he low blows him. So it's like, you know, this victory here, it's not like he's a Beast Slayer. He's like a cheater. Seth freaking Rollins, you know, they're telling this whole story. I was going to go in there and slay the Beast. You would never see baby faces low blowing people on TV. Like, it just wasn't a thing. You know, if you're supposed to be this good guy and everyone's supposed to rally behind you, I'm sorry, you can't just go around fucking, you know, uppercutting people in the balls. But, like, you know, like you're China or something like that. And Seth Rollins hits 3 curb stomps, and the match is over. Like, in a 5-minute span, the match is over. Seth Rollins pins Brock Lesnar. That's the end of that title reign. So I'm like saying to myself, Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns. He's beaten John Cena. He's beaten all these fucking people. He's beaten the Undertaker at WrestleMania. Ended the streak of the Undertaker. And I don't think he's been pinned since, like, when Triple H beat him at WrestleMania. I don't think he's been pinned. I don't think so, because he's been champion for most of these WrestleMania. He beat Goldberg. And you're telling me that Seth Rollins, coming out of fucking nowhere, beating, you know, not really out of nowhere, but, you know, in the match, it's like, you know, it's a fast finish. They open the show with it. What a fucking insult. Like, if you were watching my reviews, I was pretty sure that Seth Rollins was going to win it. I had a little bit of doubt when maybe, you know, when they had like Seth Rollins beating up Brock Lesnar on the last episode of Raw and dropping the belt on top of him. I was like, well, maybe not they did that, but that wasn't the case. Seth Rollins fucking beats Brock Lesnar. That's it. that's the end of that. And I'm just saying to myself, what the fuck are we doing here? I mean, really, this is WrestleMania. Opening the show with the world title match. And I know you could say, like, well, they opened the show before with world title matches. What about Edge and Alberto Del Rio? What about that? Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about world title matches later on and where the other world title match was placed. And it was, the SmackDown, whatever belt was on SmackDown was usually the inferior belt most of the time. It usually always was the first match to go on. It always had been that way. Not the first match, but it would precede whatever title was on Raw. Anyway, that's over and done with. Seth Rollins is your new Universal Champion. Fantastic. AJ Styles defeated Randy Orton. Okay, so this was not a bad match by any means. It was better than the first match. Whatever. It actually seemed like more of a match. Seemed like it made more sense. Whatever. It wasn't blowing my mind or anything, but, it was okay for what it was. I wasn't expecting a lot from this match. I wasn't expecting it to be a bad match. I wasn't expecting it to be a great match. It was decent for what it was. The Usos defeated The Bar, Ricochet and Aleister Black, Nakamura and Rusev. And, before we start, talking about this match here, you have three spots here besides the Usos because they got to be there because they're the champions. But you can't have the Hardy Boys in here. The Hardy Boys, meanwhile, are on the pre-show. And these guys are just wasting away on the pre-show. They've got nothing better to do, but hang around with the SNL guys and Braun Strowman. And if you're wondering why I'm not talking about that, because I really don't want to talk about it. I watched a little bit of the pre-show. I wasn't really too enthralled in it. So, whatever. We have this fatal 4-way. It's nothing to speak of. Ricochet is flipping around like a fucking goofball. A guy like Sheamus, like I've talked on a number of occasions, is just thrown in here. Oh God. Anyway, just Nakamura, the last year's Royal Rumble winner, WWE title match at WrestleMania last year. Big deal for Nakamura. He's just another competitor out of 8 fucking guys in just like a cheap, quick match here with, just high spots here where Ricochet is basically, supposed to be the star player, flipping around like a maniac. The Usos retain. Whatever. I mean, I really don't know what to tell you here. So, oh my God. Just, could you believe that a guy who won the Royal Rumble last year is in a fatal 4-way tag match for the tag titles? Last year, he was wrestling for the world title. This year, he's wrestling for the tag titles. What's wrong with that picture? What's wrong with that statement? Doesn't that even look bad on paper? Don't they stop and think about it for one moment? Just how ridiculous this looks. Okay, maybe they made a mistake and everything like that. But I don't understand. How do you make such a giant mistake like that? How the hell do you, I would think that whoever wins the Royal Rumble, they have to think about that for a little bit of time. Who deserves it out of all the 30 guys that are going to be in the match? And then they persisted with it after that. They still went through with the WrestleMania match. If they realized it was a mistake, they still had several months where they could have changed it. They could have had someone else beat Nakamurphy. No, then they go like almost the whole half of the year having matches with AJ Styles, and then, this is what happens after that. The Hall of Famers come out on the stage and okay, just great. The crowd, you could just tell, is just not into any of this. Shane McMahon defeated The Miz. It was okay. They brawl around. Here's the thing. We already saw Drew McIntyre and Dean Ambrose doing all this hardcore stuff just a week prior, 2 weeks prior. They kept doing no holds barred, street fights and stuff like that. So this kind of really lost its luster. We'd already had seen plenty of this leading up to with them fighting in the crowd, so we definitely didn't feel as fresh. Then at the end, they got up on the structure that was eerily similar to Undertaker and Triple H. But, I'm not going to even compare those two matches, because one was a really great match, and then you had this, which is going to be forgotten by tomorrow, probably, if you haven't already. As I'm saying this, you probably have already forgotten the match if you've watched WrestleMania. So Shane McMahon and The Miz, they're on the edge of this structure. The Miz goes for a superplex, falls backwards, looks really cheap. There was no explosion. They fall through this mat. Obviously, it's supposed to be a platform down below. Shane McMahon gets his arm on top of The Miz and gets a cheap pin. This finish right here, it's I don't know why Shane, if they were going to do a stunt, why they didn't just have something else in the ring or whatever like that, or I don't know. They could have done something a little bit better than this. That just looked a little bit too fake to me. And whatever. I'm sure there's going to be some people saying, "Oh, well, they risk their lives by going backwards," and I get that and everything, but I didn't enjoy this. They had some involvement with Miz's father, which I don't know. This took so much time, and they made it so comical. You would think that if Shane's gonna pick on the Miz's dad, they could make it more serious. But they have the dad going like this, he's again with Paul Heyman, a damn cartoon character. I feel like I'm watching a cartoon here, a really bad cartoon, not even a good cartoon of good quality, but just they have the Miz just on the outside, and Shane is adjusting the dad's fists so he gets into a proper fight. I'm what the fuck? This is WrestleMania? Then we had the Fatal 4-Way. Just the fact that they have already a Fatal 4-Way tag match for the tag titles for the men, and they got to do the same exact thing for the women. And it's funny, it's because the men's one they threw in there at the last minute. They weren't even sure that they wanted to have it. The original match they had planned with the Hardy Boys was scrapped, which I don't understand. If you're gonna put something on, you would think that maybe you'd put the Hardy Boys in there, because that might have excited the crowd. But God forbid they excite the crowd. God forbid they get the crowd to pop. God forbid they have a match that actually people want to see, or do something that would have been memorable. But they had the Iconics beat Nia Jax and Tamina, Sasha Banks and Bayley, Beth Phoenix and Natalya. So they spend all this time building Sasha Banks and Bayley up as best friends and everything, whatever. I don't want to see them as champions anyway. I don't even want to see these belts. I don't even think we should have belts for the women. Nia Jax and Tamina, they're a dominant team. They're obviously probably the best team here, because, they would be the most dominant. Two Samoan girls, that would just be good. That would make sense. They'd be the most dominant team. And the story last year was, again, you got to think about kind of like with Nakamurphy. Same deal here. Nia Jax. Remember, she was wrestling Alexa Bliss, for the women's championship. Like a big match like that. And here she is, just another person out of 8 others. You've got Beth Phoenix returning for Natalya, so, maybe you could have had Beth Phoenix returning from retirement, winning the tag belts. Whatever, it's probably just a one-off anyway. But instead they go with the Iconics. They go with the Iconics of all people. So they always got to be like the odd man out here. Don't go with the vicious Samoan team. Don't go with the most built-up team. Don't go with the returning legend that you inducted into the Hall of Fame. No, go with the Iconics of all people. Probably the worst workers in the match. They've been quite dangerous in the ring even. Now, granted, they're probably the best on the mic, I would say. And I can't even believe I'm saying that, but I've even said at least they have characters, which is more than what could be said about the other girls. But it's just so funny. It's like they gotta pick the absolute worst team out of the bunch. But nothing really surprises me anymore about them. Kofi Kingston defeated Daniel Bryan. Yeah. Told you it was going to be as simple as that. This match was... I mean, it was a good match. I would be lying if I said that these guys didn't work a good match. But leading everything up to now, it's like I'm already just sitting there. Just like I don't give a fuck already. They've already drained my life force. They've already put me in a bad mood. Where I just already know that Kofi Kingston is going to win. It's predictable. And I said sometimes in wrestling it's okay for things to be predictable because that means that they make sense. Sometimes throwing in a swerve is completely unnecessary and it's not really going to be, it's not going to look that great. If it's just like, oh, look, we swerved you. Okay, congratulations. But, we're not really getting too much out of this. So I understand why sometimes they might go for, a more predictable approach. They wanted to do this. They were committed to doing this. They wanted to put Kofi over. There was, and the thing is, guys, do you even really feel that good about this? Because it's I feel like the only reason why they did it is so McMahon could escape all of the accusations that he's racist and everything. I really think that that's kind of why he did it. So he could shut everybody up already. Like I said, it's not good enough that the Rock was WWE champion. Oh, he was not black enough. Him being half black, people don't even realize that alone is pretty racially charged to be saying that about somebody. Oh, you're not black enough. I mean, that was even something that was said about President Obama. People had said that, oh, well, Obama's not black enough. They say that about The Rock, that he's not black enough. Now, Mark Henry won the World Heavyweight Championship, but that wasn't good enough for people. Because, all they want to do is complain and paint the picture that Vince is racist. And is he racist? I don't know. I can't tell you. Honestly, I don't know what he is. I don't think Vince McMahon's a great person. I don't know if he's necessarily racist. I've got a feeling that if he was racist, he probably wouldn't hire any black people. I mean, who's to say that he would? I mean, I honestly don't think that he would keep New Day around as long as he has if that's how he felt. But whatever. Daniel Bryan and even Kofi Kingston, they put in a decent effort here. And, it was an alright match for what it was. Like, they wrestled for what seemed like a fucking eternity. And it wasn't bad, but, like, I can't really say that as I was watching this that I was thoroughly entertained, like, on the edge of my seat. It was like, it didn't put me to sleep, but it also didn't excite me at the same time. You know what I'm saying? It was just like I was kind of in the middle of the road about this one. It wasn't a bad match. It's just like, I guess, find somebody that maybe was more enthusiastic about this show. If you need to hear something positive being said about this. And I'm not saying it's not a bad match. But, it's like people want you to be excited about this. Like, I don't understand. Like, how could anyone really be excited about this after that build? It's supposed to be the hype. I guess you could say, well, Brad, do you really need hype to be, excited about this? You have a mind of your own. Can't you just, like, figure a way to hype yourself up? It's like, there's just nothing to lead into this for me. And you've already just given me a bunch of shit prior to this that I have to still digest. So whatever. Good for Kofi. He won the belt. Kofi Mania. And now it's like, how long before people, lose interest in Kofi Kingston? Because now that the fans got what they want, it's all about pleasing the smarks, right? Now that they got what they want, it's only a matter of time before they move on to something else. Before their short attention span gets diverted and, they want the next thing. So, make Ricochet a champion. So whatever, Byron sex addict, is about to have a heart attack. Believe in yourself and anything's possible! Backstage, you had the SNL guys in the back. They're all injured. And then Scott Hall and Kevin Nash turn around, and Kevin Nash puts on a rubber glove, and I don't know, Scott Hall like mumbled something, and I'm like, okay. This is how we use these legends. This is how you use Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Whatever. Like, honestly, it's a 2-second backstage segment. Am I really going to get upset about this? Samoa Joe defeated Rey Mysterio. They made like Rey was about to squash Joe. He hits a 619, but then goes to the top rope. Joe counters, catches him in the coquina clutch, beats him in like less than a minute. I don't know. Maybe Rey was injured. I don't know. I don't care. I'm just like, could anything else go wrong at this point? It's like, I'm about to say, like, oh God, what the hell were they thinking here? Rey Mysterio, he's a legend and all that, and I could go through that whole spiel, but maybe he was injured. Maybe he was injured, all right? Before people search all the dirt sheets and, I don't know. Was he injured? I don't know. Check the dirt sheets, find out for yourself. Roman Reigns defeated Drew McIntyre. All right, Drew beat him up for the first half of the match. Roman Reigns made a comeback, beat him at the end. It was all right for what it was. It was nice to see some bigger guys finally wrestling. If at this point it was like you'd seen all like the women and Kofi Kingston and like the Fatal 4-Way tag match. It was nice to see like two guys, that actually looked like, like what wrestlers usually look like going at it. So, Roman Reigns beat him. Like I said, you knew that Reigns was going to go over. It was his first like regular match back. So you knew that they weren't going to have him lose here, obviously. Then we had Elias doing a performance. They had him play the drums, had him play the piano, and then Elias got on the guitar. And, okay, it was funny that they did that. They kind of did a split screen with, like, Elias sitting beside himself, the drums and the piano. So, okay, that was clever, to a certain degree. And then as he's about to play the full song, John Cena comes out and he says Thuganomics gimmick. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is nice because it's like, it's going to be rap. Cena's there. And, it's funny, like, that Cena does, like, he says WWE stands for Wasted Wrestling Experiment. It's really funny is that, let's just, like, kind of walk it back here a little bit, and we'll go through all the years here of when they've had a wrestler and then they couldn't think of what to do with them, and so they totally just waste them. Okay? So, we've got, for example, Bray Wyatt. Remember one year he has the match against The Undertaker, and then the very next year he's out there and he's with The Rock. And then The Rock said that Bray Wyatt, like he's criticizing him right there on the stage, like saying what he's doing wrong. He says, like, you've got all the talent in the world, but then he, like, goes to insult them, completely buries Bray Wyatt. Then they have him, like, bury Eric Rowan. Then you had, what was, like, another burial moment? Last year, they did almost the same thing. Elias wasn't there. They bury him. Baron Corbin, John Cena calls him a dumpster fire. And, like, yeah, this was the same thing as last year leading up to The Undertaker. John Cena, and by the way, The Undertaker was not on this show. Would not be seen on this show. And John Cena just, last year he came out, he interrupted Elias, gave him the attitude adjustment, and we moved on to Cena versus The Undertaker. Okay. Well, Elias now, we have John Cena cutting the rap on him, and then he gives him the attitude adjustment. And it's the same thing that they did last year, except this time it's Thuganomics Cena. And it's like, I don't know. It's like just Cena just pulling out the old gimmick just for the hell of it. They couldn't even book a program for Cena. Just a little something for him to do. Even if he had to do it through pre-tapes, like, could they have not found the spot for Cena? And, like, all this time, building up Elias, they couldn't find anything for Elias to do on this show that would have been more productive than at the end of it getting beat by Cena. And just like having him get buried here, calling him the Wasted Wrestling Experiment. I understand it's just a wrestling promo, but remember like how they used to at least put each other over to a certain degree, even when they were rivals. And this is just like random, just thrown together. Oh, what are we going to do for Elias? Who's going to interrupt him? I'll just get Cena to do it. Then we had Triple H and Batista. And adding to the theme of the night of mishaps, Batista trips on the second rope coming into the ring like he's drunk. An honest mistake, but I mean, it couldn't have happened on any other WrestleMania, like this was just a night of disasters, and I mean, no big deal or anything, him tripping, but I mean, man, like, could the night get any worse? Could it get any worse? And I don't know, like, the whole thing about him ripping, like, the nose ring out of Batista's face was just really hokey. And if you're gonna rip it out, like, they did, like, a little bit of blood, but I don't really know. I've never had a nose ring, but I don't know. Like, I guarantee if you rip this out of my ear, there'd probably be a lot of blood gushing out of it, right? So, I don't know. That part alone, at least there was a little bit of blood. They really had him rip his nose ring out, but I don't know if like maybe Batista worked with him to get it out and that was fake blood. I don't fucking know. This match though, as you can imagine, it was very like plotting, very slow paced. It was boring, and just there was nothing here. I was kind of just hoping for it to be over once Triple H hit the first pedigree, but then they stretch it out even more. Ric Flair comes out with a second sledgehammer. Triple H, grabs the other sledgehammer and then hits him with it. Then there's another pedigree and it's over. Just as I expected. This was why I wasn't looking forward to it. I was like, after this build, I was just, I saw that some people liked this match. And, more power to you. By all means, that's good for you. If you enjoyed the show, if you enjoyed the matches, more power to you. It didn't really seem like the crowd really liked the matches, but if you liked them, that's good for you. At least you're enjoying what you're watching here. So more power to you on that. Backstage, they're trying to hawk the shirts that, were now outdated because they had a shirt printed up that said Daniel Bryan still WWE champion. So obviously now they got to get rid of those shirts, I guess, before they put them on clearance. So they had Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, doing some like ridiculous like dancer song, and Ron Simmons comes in and does the damn thing. A funny thing that to note. I read from Wade Keller, I didn't see this, that they actually put the Kofi Kingston, like, winning the title shirt up way too early, which kind of spoiled it. But I think they also had the Daniel Bryan shirt, too, so I don't know. So I don't think that's completely correct. And Baron Corbin defeated Kurt Angle in what was like a 5-minute match. And for all those people that said that John Cena was going to come out and all that and they were going to change it, I said that wasn't going to happen. I said that they're going to still stay the course. They're going to do what they want. They're selfish. Everyone all night long is kicking out of every single fucking move under the sun. Triple H is kicking out of every move and he's the same age as Kurt Angle. But Kurt Angle gets hit with an end of days. It's over. He's out. Cuts a little bit of a promo there. The fans start chanting, "You suck." And, honestly, are the fans really going to chant, "You suck," when the guy is, retiring? The crowd had, been behaving themselves all night and everything like that, but... I understand they say, the "You suck" chants is supposed to be retro, it's supposed to be a throwback, but honestly, not only is it played out, not only is it stupid, especially if Kurt Angle's a babyface, that you're chanting "You suck" when he doesn't suck, when he's one of the best wrestlers that they ever had. Really, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to be chanting that. And, okay, let's talk about this match, because this was probably... The biggest thing for me on the show, because I had talked about this in my Raw reviews leading up to this. I said Kurt Angle is a legend. Kurt Angle main evented quite a few WrestleManias. WrestleMania 19 probably being the biggest one of them all. He, might have not been in the last match, but he wrestled Eddie Guerrero, which was a WrestleMania classic. He was involved he was the champion for when Rey Mysterio won his world title. Kurt Angle wrestled Shawn Michaels in a show-stealing match. Kurt Angle is, without a doubt, a legend among legends. I mean, Kurt Angle is probably... one of the top 10 guys of all time. He's in my top 10. I think he's amazing. I think that, he's wrestled probably some of the best matches of all time. Kurt Angle looks like a star. He acts like a star. He's, I from what I've seen in interviews, he seems like a good man. He seems like he's concerned about his family. And you see, obviously, that's the number one priority. They've made him look like a goofball, so he's not there because he's loving it over there. I mean, how could he love being there? Honestly, being treated like royalty in TNA of all places. and when he wrestled in Japan, being treated like the star that he was, they recognized what Kurt Angle had accomplished in the WWE. But the WWE themselves, namely Vince McMahon, could not be bothered to treat the man who made him so much money, who made him so much merchandise sales, who brought so much TV and obviously ratings as well. Kurt Angle, when Stone Cold and The Rock had gone, obviously when it came to SmackDown, Kurt Angle was keeping that side of the brand alive during the first brand split. That's why you notice that after Kurt Angle left, SmackDown was like really considered to be the B show. Kurt Angle was a massive star. And he was one of the best of all time. And throughout this last run, which was all but 2 years, all of 3 years, it was 2 years, I mean. I don't know why. Well, at first I corrected myself with the wrong number. It was 2 years. I just phrased it wrong. He's been there for 2 years almost completely. When he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, they made him into the GM. He got castrated week after week by Stephanie McMahon. Then he had a show-stealing match last year with Ronda Rousey, which is why I didn't say last year was a really bad WrestleMania, because that was a great match. Kurt Angle was the star of that show. Ronda Rousey was the star of the show. Together, they were the star of that show. They put on a great match with Triple H and Stephanie. And you think maybe they would have appreciated that, and the following year maybe treat Kurt Angle to a great retirement match. Maybe he could have gone out against Brock Lesnar. Would have been a great WrestleMania 19 rematch. People would have been interested in seeing that, but of course not. Of course not. We can't have anything that good. So, Kurt Angle treated like a sack of garbage. No John Cena. No dream retirement match. Just have Baron Corbin beat him. Okay, great. Baron Corbin's got some heat now. Beat it. But I believe that the heat is on not just Corbin, because people know not to blame Corbin. The heat's going to be on Vince McMahon. You just have some pissed off fans. That's all you're going to do. And at least this makes more sense, because it doesn't matter if it's fake or not. Kurt Angle gave so much to this company. You think that the least they could do on his way out is treat him with some fucking respect? Instead, they give him a little short match. In a match, like I said, and I'm a Baron Corbin guy. I like Baron Corbin. I think he's massively improved on the mic. I think he has an undeniable look, and I don't think he's that bad of a worker in the ring. I think that there is a lot of potential that's untapped in Baron Corbin. And I know I'm not the only one to think that. The dirt sheets hate him, and people follow suit, hating him because Wade Keller and Meltzer Magoo hate him, but I don't. So, you would think that, okay, if this was maybe built better, I wouldn't have so much of a problem with the Baron Corbin side of things. This is not really Baron Corbin. Let's keep that in mind as I talk here. This is not about Baron Corbin. This is about how they're treating Kurt Angle on the way out with no fucking respect. If the guy stole the show last year, and the guy is an undeniable legend, you've inducted him into the Hall of Fame, so you agree on that, why are you just making him look like a damn goof leading up to this? It didn't even make any sense, because he was on vacation as GM. They just strip him of his role like that. They treat everybody like a bunch of idiots. Like they're not going to remember that the guy's just supposedly supposed to be on vacation in the storyline. Then they bring him back, and they just have him get beat by Corbin a bunch of times. And then they have a Mania match, and he gets beat by him on WrestleMania. And it's not even like it's a big grand match or anything. It's just a quick, short fucking match and it's over. Get the hell out of here, Kurt. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. How fucking disrespectful can you fucking get? And I'm sorry. I don't fucking care. I was going to start saying like, well, I don't care about this shit and everything. But it's like Kurt Angle, at least, is one of the last bastions of fucking old school wrestling. Kurt Angle, I look at Kurt Angle and I see a time when wrestling was so much fucking better. So at least when I watch this torturous, fucking horrible fucking product that they have now, at least when I look at Kurt Angle, I see somebody that's at least, someone I remember being good, and he is good, and I can still see the way he carries himself. Kurt Angle is great. But when you treat him with such massive disrespect, throw his match in here like in the fucking middle of nothing, like he's not worth a damn, that's when we have a problem. And the fans shout, you suck, get the hell out of here. I hate the fans, I hate WWE, I hate Vince McMahon, I hate management. And you think maybe Triple H or Stephanie might step in and say, hey, Vince, is not a good idea. No, because they hate Kurt Angle too. They don't like him. They have a problem because Kurt Angle went to TNA, I guess, because he had some success and he made money elsewhere. How dare you, go anywhere else? How immature can you get? How stupid can you get? I am so sick and tired of this. They will put their whole product, take their whole product hostage so they could teach somebody a lesson. Oh, yeah, great. Do it right there on WrestleMania. Teach somebody a lesson. Yeah, I'm sure Kurt Angle learned his lesson. All he's going to be worried about here is you saw the story right there at ringside. He made his WrestleMania payday. He's got all the money he probably needs. He's going to go back home to his family and say, fuck off to this horrible garbage. Then we had Finn Balor defeating Bobby Lashley. And it's like, okay, we all knew obviously this was going to happen. Bobby Lashley is a beast. So what we have is Balor comes in there. He's throwing Lashley out of the ring. How are you throwing a guy that's almost 300 pounds, who's more than 100 pounds more than you? And you're throwing him out of the ring like he's a sack of garbage. Not even a sack of garbage, because a sack of garbage would weigh more. You're throwing him outside like like you're throwing like a leaf or something light like that, like a feather. Throws Bobby Lashley to the outside. Then he goes in the ring. He powerbombs Lashley, but not powerbomb out of the corner or something like that where he's already up in the air. Puts him between his legs. Lifts Lashley up like a small child. Lashley has to actually jump up for that shit and actually sell for Finn. Fucking powerbombs him down. Does that little stupid stomp and beats him. This is the way wrestling is going. There's no reason to watch this garbage anymore. Because look at this whole card. There isn't even any hope for anything on here. Triple H beats everybody. Kurt Angle made to look like a joke. Balor, this small little guy, lifting Bobby Lashley, who's way over 6 feet tall, almost 300 pounds, like a small child. This is so stupid. Oh, he's the demon. Good for him. He's still the same generic, bland, boring Finn Balor that's just wearing face paint. I cannot believe that they had him lift him up for a powerbomb. That was probably the craziest thing I've ever seen. Honestly, what? That would be like if he did it to Brock Lesnar. Stone Cold Cringy Lynch defeats Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair in a triple threat match. And what was funny about this was the simple fact that before the match starts, they have Charlotte Flair come down in the helicopter. So it's like Charlotte Flair wasn't even in the arena. So she didn't even have to be subjected to all this shit. She wasn't even there for the show. She just arrived. Even she was smarter than me or you for watching this, for watching this show. She just got to the arena. And that was even weird because it's like she gets to the arena, but her entrance is not even there. They leave her like outside, like miles away from the arena. So I guess she has to like make her way wearing a big flowing robe. She has to walk like a fucking mile to the arena. Next time, tell the helicopter to land closer. So Ronda Rousey comes out. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts play. The crowd doesn't react. Then, we've got Stone Cold Cringy Lynch comes out. Charlotte comes out. This match right here, 20 minutes long, was sloppy as fuck. Like, they were blowing spots left and right in this fucking match. This looked fucking horrendous. And I'm watching, and once again, Ronda Rousey is trying her hardest. She's trying to get in there, trying to get the pace going on this thing. The crowd is totally out of it. They've fallen asleep. People were reporting that people were walking out. It didn't seem like there were any big sections unless they were trying to film away from it. It still seemed like the arena was somewhat filled up with people. But, like, this was just a botch fest. I mean, this was botchamania. Like, they were just blowing things. And then the finish comes. And I don't know what happened, but, like, the table doesn't break. Which was like something reminiscent of like Triple H and Batista, where Triple H does a back body drop and Batista didn't go through the table. Whatever, that's something that's been pretty commonplace. Like they've had a lot of like times when the announcer table doesn't break. So, but this was like a table set up in the corner. So they botched that. They go in through like the lower part of the table, so the table doesn't break correctly. It kind of just bends a little bit. But then Becky Lynch is like on Ronda's shoulders, and she goes for like this crucifix. Ronda Rousey's like shoulders are like way off the mat, and like it ends, and it's so obvious that it's a botch because the crowd is like silent. Michael Cole is silent. No one's saying anything. And then, oh, wow, what a momentous occasion. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You gave these girls the fucking main event, and they blew it! And we all told you it was going to be bad, and you knew it was going to be bad. And it was no surprise there that we had a horrendous main event that went on way too long. It was dragged out. Spots being blown left and right. Call an audible. Bring this shit home. It sucks. Tell a referee he's got an earpiece in there for a reason. Somebody send up his fucking smoke signal or something like that to end the goddamn match. But no, they're going to go through it anyway because women, championing women. That's what it's all about. Go to hell. Make us sit through this garbage. Because you're women. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's all about putting the women over. Even if it means sacrificing WrestleMania and the grandeur of the event. And the integrity of the event. Whatever WrestleMania had left of integrity. They sacrifice it all. So the women's revolution. Now, people were saying they're never going to do this again. I don't think so. They knew going into this that this was going to be bad. You think that Vince McMahon, with all that he has been through, where he has seen some of the greatest moments of all time occur right before his very eyes, that he doesn't think that Becky Lynch sucks? I mean, honestly, you don't think that Vince McMahon, how could the man not possibly cringe every single time one of these moronic fans compares her to Stone Cold Steve Austin? It's almost impossible. Unless the guy is indeed senile or has Alzheimer's or something like that. Because I just don't see how that's possible. I don't know what the reason is. I will never know. I don't even want to find out. I'm not even curious to find out in the least bit. Because who the fuck cares? This was so horrendous. And this is not going to be the last time that they have the women main event WrestleMania. Because that narrative is way too strong. That movement is way too strong. There's too many people pushing for it. The fans are phony balonies that they want to see that in the main event. It's like they know it sucks. They know it sucks deep down, but they don't want to say it because they're scared people are going to call them sexist for voicing their opinion. But see, I don't care. Because honestly, like I said, it's just professional wrestling. Who cares? You know, I'm just basically saying it. I don't want this as the main event. I don't think that this should be the main event. It has no business being the main event. But, like, that finish, I don't know what they were going for there, but it shows it right there that they botched that. Becky Lynch botched it. Because she was holding Ronda down, wouldn't let her up. It was pretty obvious that she was, like, supposed to kick out there or something like that. Becky Lynch. Stone Cold Cringy Lynch. I've been here for months saying that Stone Cold Cringy Lynch is a piece of garbage in the ring, on the mic, as a character. Everyone's like, oh, she's done the greatest things in years. What happened? What happened? She botched the match. She botched the finish. She ruined WrestleMania. What was already left of it was destroyed there in the main event. She put the dagger through the heart of the goddamn thing right there at the end. And they can't do a redo of that. It's WrestleMania. It's supposed to be the biggest show of the year. And she botched the finish to a WrestleMania match. What, you know, when was the last time you saw a finish botched like that? You could say that Brock Lesnar was supposed to end with the shooting star press, I think. You know, but at least they went back and they did a normal finish for that. Here it was just like, that's it, it's done. That was your WrestleMania main event, folks. And you've got Stone Cold Cringy Lynch to thank for that marvelous, wonderful, climactic finish that you had there. See, I'm right. I'm always right. But you guys go ahead. You believe what you want to believe. There's hope for the WWE. I love women. Keep lying to yourself. Keep telling you that WWE is the best it's been in years. Keep telling yourself that, because this was garbage. This WrestleMania was detestable in every sense of the word. Horrendous event, horrendous matches, horrendous build, a horrendous finish. They disrespected Kurt Angle. They disrespected themselves. They made a mockery out of a once great event for a once great company that brought me so much joy for many years. And this is what it's been reduced to. What a fucking joke. What a horrendous fucking joke. No Undertaker. No John Cena match. You have the Hardy Boys. You don't even use them on the main show. Guys, that was WrestleMania. And thank you all for watching. And if you enjoyed this review and you made it the whole way through, let me know in the comments down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. And guys, thank you for watching. And I will see you next time.